Hi guys, I'm Joss'n, and today I'll be leading today's presentation at your Girl Scout meeting. A little about me, I am a former Girl Scout. I'm also a fellow dog mom. And yeah, in the picture I have a dog. My dog is a little Yorkie mix, and he's just my Easter shirt. But yes, I have been a dog mom for over 2 decades, which is like 20 years. I know, I'm aging myself. But I've had two dogs in my life. My first dog I got in eighth grade. And then I've had my current dog, McQueen, which he's all over today's presentation. I have pictures and everything. I've had him for about 10 years. So there's a lot you can learn. I think it's never too early to get a pet, but you have to be ready to have a pet. You need to learn everything about them so you can provide them with the best care and love. And today's presentation and badge, you're going to learn everything about it. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right. So today we're doing the pet care badge. In the middle is a picture of your badge that you're going to get at the end. But you got to learn everything first before you can get your badge. So why pets? Well, when you're a great friend to a pet will be a great friend to you. And it's true. Like I mentioned, I've been a dog mom for over 2 decades. And in that picture is McQueen. I've had him for a good while. And it's true. You just love and attention. You know, the best care you can do is that. So pets, whether they're cute and cuddly or slimy and scaly, pets are so much fun. And if you hope to have a pet someday, you can use today's badge to learn how to choose the pet that's right for you and make sure it stays happy and healthy. Now, if you already have a pet, well, that's even better. You can apply today's badge to learn to take the best care of a pet you already have. So we're going to take the 5 following steps to learn about pet care. And the purpose of that is that, of course, to earn the badge, and then you'll learn how to take care of a pet. And the following steps we're going to learn how to find out what care different pets need. We're going to learn how to keep a pet comfy. We're also going to help a pet stay healthy and safe. I think this is most importantly, we're going to make a pet feel loved. And then, of course, you got to learn how to feed a pet. But before we get started, quick note. Let's say you don't have a pet and you want to get a pet. It's okay if your family may not be able to have a pet right now. It's totally okay. You can still do this badge. And I think knowledge is key. So every day you can learn something new. And even though you can't maybe have a pet right now, that doesn't mean you can't have a pet later down the road. And you can apply the skills you're learning today for when you're ready. So step 1, we're going to find out what care different pets need. Because pets are like people. They're all different. And because of that, we're going to learn about different pets by playing Pet Bingo. So I created today's Pet Bingo and worksheet. And so you should get at least 3 sheets for worksheet 1. You'll probably have a lot of sheets, but for step 1, there's 3 sheets. We're going to have Pet Bingo and then worksheet 1 and 2. Because in order to put a little X or color your animal, you have to answer 4 questions about each animal. Well, today, for time's sake, we're only going to cover the dog, cat, and hamster. So we're going to fill out this worksheet right here and fill out that information. But everything else, let's say you want to get a fish and we didn't talk about it today, that's okay. You have this forever. You can take this home and you can explore and fill out all these questions at home for the pet that's right for you. So let's talk about the dog. So we're going to cover the following questions. We're going to cover how much does it cost to care for a dog, right? That's important. We need money. We also need space for a dog. How much space does a dog need? And of course, just like humans, all pets get hungry. So how much food does a dog need? And lastly, we're going to learn what kind of contact does a dog like? So first up, how much does it cost? Well, roughly the average in the US, the cost of caring for a dog is around $2,524 a year. And this includes food, grooming, veterinary care, toys, and other supplies. So that's quite a lot. You got to save up. Also, we need space for our dog to feel loved and secure and safe. And really important right here, there's no one size fits all because there's small dogs, there's big dogs, and every dog is different depending on their activity level, the size, the breed, it all varies. But the general guideline for a dog is about 300 square feet. So down here, you'll see this is a 4 to 5 bedroom, because this can technically be 2 rooms. It's really big. So a dog needs about 4 bedrooms to feel safe and secure and have space to move about. And in bonus, like if you have more space, the better. If you have a backyard, more space for them to go play and exercise. Now let's talk about how much food a dog needs to eat. So just like I mentioned earlier, there's small and big dogs. Every dog needs a different amount, especially because it depends on their age. A puppy is not going to get the same amount as an adult. And it depends on their size, as you can see right here. Small dog and big dogs are getting different amounts. It also depends on their activity level. Do they get to do they exercise a lot or not? So, and their overall health. And generally, a healthy adult dog needs about 2 to 4% of their body weight in food. So that's hard to calculate. So you can always read the label of back. When you buy dog food, they have a label in the back and it tells you by their body weight how much they need. Now, McQueen, my dog, weighs about 10 pounds and he does get a cup of food a day. So you can read your labels, and if you don't trust labels, each their own, you can ask your local veterinarian, which I did too, because McQueen was actually a little chunky. We had to put him on a diet for a bit, but now he's just right. So what kind of contact does a dog like? Well, every personality is different, but generally, dogs do like to be petted. They like ear scratches and belly rubs. And like McQueen loves belly rubs, but only when he wants to. So my dog is a little finicky. Only when he wants to be petted will he be petted. But that's just like any body language. We're going to learn about reading pet languages and when it's okay to approach a pet to be petted. Because just like humans, we get grumpy and angry too. But most of the time, going back to this question, dogs love to be petted. They like to play. They like to go outside and exercise, play fetch, belly rubs, hugs, you name it. Dogs are usually friendly and most of the time love to get attention. So to recap on your handout, how much does a dog cost? Cost about $2,524 per year. How much space does a pet need? The more space, the better, but at least 300 square feet, or you can put 3 to 4 rooms. That's easier. How much food does a pet need? Remember, it depends on their size, but it's about half a cup to 4 cups, depending on the dog. Then what kind of human contact? Well, they like to be petted. They like ear scratches, and belly rubs. So now let's get into cats. And we're going to go over the same 4 questions, but for cats. So how much does it cost to care for a cat? Well, unlike dogs, it's a lot cheaper. And the average year of cost of owning a cat is around $634, or roughly $53 per month. And this includes recurring expenses like food, treat, toys, and veterinary care. A lot cheaper. So maybe you might want to get a cat. Now, how much space does the cat need? Well, unlike dogs, they need little space. They don't need as much space, but roaming doesn't hurt. Like the more space you give them, it's also good. But the general recommendation for a cat is at least 18 to 20 square feet. So if you remember, dogs needed 3 to 4 rooms. Here is the bedroom, and the pink part, not even the full pet room, just the pink part is 100 square feet. And cats need about 18 to 20 square feet. So I would say it's about maybe just the bed or half the bed. That's all the space cats need, which is a lot less compared to dogs. But you do need additional space for their supplies. They need a litter box. That's important. They also need food, a place for them to eat and drink water, and they definitely need scratching posts. Now, how much food does a cat need? Well, just like dogs, it depends on their breed, depends on their size, depends on their age, weight, activity level. But a general guideline is that a cat should consume between 25 to 34 calories per body pound, which should be about half a cup, roughly. And again, you can read the label of your pet food when you buy it for them, or ask your local vet. So cats, what kind of human contact does a cat like? Well, it depends by all cats. Some cats do prefer distance, but generally, a cat does appreciate some gentle, light petting, particularly on the head, the chin, and cheeks, and sometimes some cats enjoy like being close to their owners. They like to snuggle or be on their lap, while others prefer some distance. And we're again, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to go over body language for cats so we can learn. So to recap, how much does it cost to care for a cat? It's around $634 per year. How much space does a pet need? About 18 to 20 square feet, about half a bedroom. How much food does this pet need? About 1/3 to half a cup of dry cat food. And it's always best to read your labels or ask your vet. And then what kind of human contact does the pet like? Cats like some light petting. The rule of thumb is let them approach you. Cats will, if they want to be petted, they will come up and rub against you. Now let's get into hamsters. How much does it cost to care for a hamster? And we're going to go over all those questions. So how much does it cost? Yearly cost for caring for a hamster, including their food, bedding, toys, and the occasional veterinary care, averages about $300 to $500. So it's a little bit cheaper, depending, than a cat. So how much space does a hamster need? Well, technically, you've seen online, people can build and create these cool enclosures for them, but they also can just be in a little cage like this, and it'll be great. So which is about 775 square inches. While this is a bare minimum, larger is always better to promote their natural behaviors like burrowing, nesting, and exploring, right? They like to burrow and nest and create all of that goodness. So how much food does a hamster need? Well, hamsters like to collect food. They like to create some storage, but the average is about 1 to 2 tablespoons of food per day. So as you can see, just like a spoonful. That's all they need. And then how much contact does a hamster like? Now, this depends. Just like cats and all pets, they all have different personalities. But hamsters, some enjoy to be handled and petted, like right here. They even let you pick them up. While others, if you can see in this little picture, he's scurrying away. He seems a little skittish, and he prefers to be left alone. So it just depends. Some are skittish, while some are super friendly. So how much does it cost to care for a hamster? Around $300 to $500 a year. How much space? 775 square inches. How much food? About 1 to 2 tablespoons of food. And then, do they like human contact? Some do, while others don't. So we just made pet bingo. We did the first 3 and made a bingo. Woo! Now, let's say I didn't get to cover one of your other animals, like a rabbit or a fish. That's okay. You're going to have these handouts that you can do and do at home. So let's get into step 2. We're going to learn how to keep a pet comfy, because pets need a clean and comfortable place to live. Even if it's in their cage, tank, or a doghouse, if it's dirty, they can get sick. So we got to learn what one pet needs to have a home sweet home. So the 3 examples that we have today is a dog, a cat, and a rabbit. So what does a pet need to have a home sweet home? Well, essentially, a dog needs food, water, shelter, a comfortable living space, like we talked earlier, at least 300 square feet, and opportunities for them to exercise and play. So if they have a backyard, even better. And most importantly, they need a loving and caring owner. Now, cats, to make a cat feel at home, it needs several essential items. They need to feel safe and comfortable, especially in their sleeping areas. They do need a litter box. That is like an essential. And they need plenty of scratching posts. And because if they don't have something to scratch, they will tear up something else, like your sofa. Rabbits, on the other hand, need like an enclosure where they feel safe. And this is a little different. So if you have a rabbit that's for your county show, you can always ask your county agent what's needed, because that's a very different from a pet rabbit. So a pet rabbit needs to feel safe and needs a stimulating home with a few key elements. They need a secure enclosure. They need bedding, food and water, dishes, and a litter box, kind of like cats, and toys for enrichment. And if you want to learn more about rabbits, of course, you have that worksheet from the bingo, pet bingo, that you can fill out. So if we don't clean their area, they can get sick. So we got to maintain a clean and healthy environment for our pets. So we should clean their areas frequently. But how frequently? Well, let's find out. For a dog, we should aim to wash their bedding and kennels for at least once a week. And that's the minimum because it depends on your dog. Sometimes more often may be necessary. It just depends if your pet sheds or if they're a puppy. Puppies tend to get dirty a lot easier and they tend to poop and pee a lot more. So you got to clean it up. And they enjoy muddy walks too, right? Depending on your dog, how active they are, if you like to be outside or not, you might have to clean their area a lot more often. But the minimum is at least once a week. Now for a cat, they have a litter box and you got to change that daily. You got to clean up that box, pick up everything they have in that box for at least every day. But to change the whole litter box, like dump it out and replace it with new litter, you got to minimum at least do it once a week. So you got to scoop it up daily and clean it out once a week. A little more care, right? And then rabbits, you also need to clean their little hutch thoroughly and keep it clean. Rule of thumb is about once a week as well. So all of them, at least like to have a good cleaning, is once a week. So today's activity, we're going to make a cozy sleeping space for a pet. You can make them a cool blanket or a pillow. But today, we're going to help animal shelter pets by giving them an old clean towel. If you have an old clean towel or bed sheet, hopefully you brought it today at your meeting. If not, you can bring it at your next meeting or go to your local animal shelter to drop it off. Because animal shelters often accept old clean towels and bed sheets as donation. Because these items can be used for various purposes, including creating beds for these animals, cleaning, and drying animals after baths. So I do have a handout for you. So ideally, you do need to bring your donated old towel or bed sheet so you can take to an animal shelter. But since you can't do that right this second, I made a little handout. So these are your towels, and you're going to take them all the way to the animal shelter. And over here's McQueen in a bed. Some days he likes to stay snuggle. Let's get into step 3, which we're going to help a pet stay healthy and safe. Because just like humans, pets need special care to stay healthy. And we're going to find out how to keep them safe, feeling good, and looking good too, right? It's just as important. So we're going to find out how to keep different pets looking good. We're going to learn about 3 of them. So how often do pets have to be washed, brushed, and if there's any special care tips? Well, for dogs, rule of thumb is about you're going to give them a bath every 1 to 3 months, but it varies by breed. And this recommendation is not a one for all. If your dog likes to play outside or gets dirty all the time, you might have to wash them more frequently. But depending on their breed, because some dogs have really long hair, some shed, some don't. Like McQueen doesn't shed, but he has long hair that I have to trim. So dogs should get groomed, ideally every week, and that includes trimming their nails, brushing their fur, cleaning their ears, and even their teeth. Teeth is just as important. You should take care of their dental. Now, iguanas, I'll admit, I've never had an iguana in my life, so did a little bit of research. And of course, you could always do more research by completing your worksheet from Pet Bingo. But iguanas should be bathed regularly, ideally daily, so you can maintain hydration and cleanliness for them. And sometimes they may also appreciate brushing for shedding their scales. Cats are naturally self-grooming, so they don't require regular baths. A bath every 4 to 6 weeks is generally sufficient for maintaining cleanliness. And generally, a cat's nail needs to be trimmed every 2 to 3 weeks. So that's a lot more frequent compared to a dog. So today, now that you learn about grooming and how frequent these pets need to be washed, you can now, if you have a pet or know a friend with a pet, you can try out what you've learned by grooming a pet. But most importantly, get permission first. Don't just do it. Get permission first. And then if the dog is friendly, love, or the pet, then try it out. So after going over today's pets, we have this little activity sheet they created. We're going to match it. The goal is to match and see if you remember how frequent each pet needs to take a bath. And over here on the left is my dad grooming McQueen. See, McQueen's pretty fluffy and he needs to get groomed pretty once a month because he'll get just too fluffy. Now, step 4, let's make a pet feel loved. Pets need attention, hugs, and kind words, as well as lots of time to have fun and play. So learning to be a good pet owner is like learning to be a good pet parent. And that's really important. We got to learn how to be good pet parents. So we're going to learn about how 3 different kinds of pets communicate their feelings. I brought it up at the beginning, but now we're going to learn how pets communicate their feelings. Everyone's a little different. So that's McQueen. He sounds a little feisty because he is. He's a little sassy little man. But even though he's being sassy, he's actually he's very excited. He's wagging his tail. He wants to play. He's just excited because I have a treat in my hand and I'm like, oh. So that's some pup talk for you from McQueen. But as you can see in these pictures, if they look very attentive, they're aroused, right? They've caught their attention. But they look a little, if their tail is down and look a little skittish, they're fearful. If they're just chilled and relaxed like right now, like McQueen's relaxed. Yes, he's barking, but he's so relaxed. A dog is relaxed. If they're like really panting and look a little like their ears are down right here, they could be very anxious. That means they're nervous. Now, if they're really barking, growling with their teeth, and not wagging their tail, because McQueen's being playful, but they're like very assertive, they're being aggressive, do not approach that dog. Okay, dogs will bite and you got to be very aware of that. Do not approach a dog that's showing some teeth. Now, cats, they speak with their tails, some say. So looking at this tail right here, how it's curved, this cat's saying, let's be friends. So look at a cat's tail. And again, like I mentioned earlier, let the cats approach you. If a cat wants to be petted, they will approach you and purr. But cat tail does have a language of its own, right? If it's down, they're scared. If they're straight up, they're happy to see you. A little bottom curved, they're getting upset. Right here, in this one, they looks like they want to be friends. Maybe a little interested as well, maybe a combo. If they're straight up, wagging, they're crazy about you, very chill and relaxed. Their tail is about they're feeling some love. If their tail's down, they may be worried. And of course, we've seen a mad cat, right, in cartoons, how they approach you. They're mad. Now, we haven't covered birds. This is a cockatoo. There's different birds out there. I've never had a cockatoo in my life, but, and I can go back so we can replay the video, but cockatoos, birds speak different languages. Some parrots talk. Cockatoos don't, to my knowledge, I don't think so, but they show their affection through their feathers, right? Particularly in their head and their wings. So in this one, let me go back. All right. He looks chilled, very relaxed. His eyes keep approaching. You can tell that he's interested in watching, right? And he's relaxed and interested in watching because he walks away. But birds have different languages, just as cats and dogs, and even humans. So for today's activity, after learning this, maybe you want to play some animal charades so you can mimic and people can guess what kind of animal you are. And you can do this with your friends, your families, or even your troop, right? I also created a list because what you can also do is make a list of your pet's 10 favorite things because we want to make a pet feel loved. So if you have a pet, what are 10 things that you can list to make your pet feel loved? Can you play a game with them? Can you take them walking? Can you give them a bath? Can you give them a nice healthy treat? Maybe a dental bone? I mean, what can you give your pet to make them feel loved? Make a list of 10. Also, because we went over body language, you're going to connect the dot. Looking at these pictures of the different animals, are they happy, angry, scared, calm, hungry, or alert? And yes, over here's McQueen. He looks totally happy. Now, step 5, we're in the final step of our badge activity. So we're going to learn about feeding a pet. And that's one of the most important responsibilities of having, like being a pet owner, is knowing when your pet needs to eat, how much they need to eat. We talked about that a little bit at the beginning. And then what they can't eat. It's also just as important to know what items can be poisonous to your pet. And of course, making sure there's food ready when your animal's hungry. So far, we've learned what certain pets eat. We talked about that during Pet Bingo. And how much does it need to eat? We also talked about that in Pet Bingo. And of course, we didn't cover every pet. So on your worksheet, you can learn more and fill out the pet that you want to learn more about. But what we haven't talked about, which we're going to cover right now, is what can't pets eat? What can be really poisonous to a pet if they ate this? So for dogs, there's quite a few. These are just the top 6. There's a lot more. You can also talk to your local vet to learn what can be quite poisonous to your dog, or if they have allergies. It happens. Pets can get allergies just like humans. But dogs for sure cannot have chocolate, and then they can't have xylitol, which is in sugar-free food items. They cannot have grapes or raisins. They cannot have anything that has caffeine in it. They cannot have onion or garlic or alcohol, which I know you all wouldn't have that, but your parents might, so make sure they're away from it. And they can't have certain nuts like walnuts or macadamias. So if they do have this, you can always call the ACPACA, the Animal Poison Control Center, and let them know. And of course, take them to your local vet. And you should, what's really helpful when you take to your vet is to put down how much they ate, the ingredients in the label of whatever they ate, and then the time they ate it, because your vet's going to be the one to help you. So just like dogs, cats cannot have any of these following human foods as well. They cannot have the xylitol, which is a certain ingredient in sugar-free items. Grapes and raisins can be quite poisonous to them. Anything that has caffeine, onion and garlic, chocolate, they can also not have chocolate, and alcohol. And I know that doesn't apply to you, but if you're near adults that do, keep them away from it. So, now that we know everything, though, how much they can eat, when they need to eat, and what they cannot eat, we have an activity for it. And this is the last handout. You can fill this out when you have time. You're going to add up how much it costs to feed 2 different pets for 1 month. So from the 8 we have on Pet Bingo, you're going to pick 2, Pet 1, Pet 2, research the different food items, and then what's the total for each, and compare them. And then ask yourself, does the cost surprise you? You put a little check in that box, yes or no. And then for more fun, because pet food, remember how much yearly each pet costs? To help your parents out, go look for pet food coupons for your family or friends to use and help them out. But yay, we are done. You have earned your pet care badge now. Congrats. Now you're ready to take care of a neighbor's pet when they go on vacation. You can also make a toy or special treat for a friend's pet. And helping out at home by taking good care of your own pet is even more important. But you're ready and you got the skills. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you for inviting me to your meeting. All right, congratulations. This concludes the pet care badge activity. You just got a new badge. So that's exciting. Hopefully you enjoyed today's presentation. Hopefully you learned a lot and inspired to either take care of your own pet or maybe get a pet when the time is right. Now, those who need access to the handouts I provided in today's presentation, everything's in the description box. Today's presentation was made by me, but the outline of this whole badge requirement is provided by the Girl Scouts. So ask your troop leader if you need more information. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'm just Joss'n. Bye.